Karemi, are you in the room?
Yes, I am.
And Madam Paris, how about we continue, the two of us?
Today we are the two of us.
Oh, okay. So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Karibuni, karibuni for this session. And my name is Joyce Kiruma.
Madam Joyce, you can unmute yourself.
Sorry. So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You're well? Someone is muting me. Okay. So we can start off.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. So, good evening. I can see now we have some responses for chat. We are happy to have you here. My name is Joyce Kiruma, and I coordinate Saburu, Nakuru, Baringo, and Nyandarua counties. And Karemi.
Good evening. My name is Karimi, and I coordinate the county from the coastal region, that is Mombasa, Kwale, Kilifi, Lamu, and Taita Taveta. Thank you.
Thank you. I know you'll hear his voice is coming in immediately after this. So we have two more facilitators. We have Martin Kisilu, who coordinates the Upper Eastern, and we also have Madam Paris, who is in the South Rift. So we have decided to be alternating so that we can have a feel and you listen to all of us. So today we are the two of us, me and Elijah, and we are happy. And before we start off, we need someone to start us with a word of prayer. A participant, raise your hand. A participant. Yes, now Stephen Jogona. Unmute, Stephen.
Oh, yes. Let us pray. Our Heavenly Father, we come before the Jehovah this evening, Lord. We praise your holy name, Lord, because you have been with us, Lord. We pray, Lord, that as we start this program, Lord, may you bless us, may you be with us. Through the mighty name of Jesus, we pray and believe. Amen.
Amen.
I am through.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you for that. So now to start off, I think we are we can start off.
Madam Joyce, you have an issue to do with the sound. So I think Madam Joyce has an issue to do with sound. And I can see we are 44 of us. We're expecting allowed 150 something. And still we have not yet reached half of us. But we hope that the number will increase with the time. And before I proceed, I can see somebody who's had this up. Michael, I don't know whether you have an issue. Michael, you can unmute your hand this up.
Okay, good evening, teachers.
Good evening.
I think there's a problem with the sound.
Yes, Madam Joyce has an issue to do with sound, but I know she'll be okay.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
We'll continue, that is why we are here. And as Madam Joyce continued to sort out her sound issues, now that we have paid, I want us now to do a retro recap of what we learned yesterday. As Madam Joyce prepare herself, and even before we begin the recap, today we are going to deal with a section on learner-centered strategies, and also a section on inclusivity in education and its characteristics. So that is what we are going to discuss today. But I want us to first remind ourselves, do remind on what we learned yesterday. Yesterday we are dealing with competency-based curriculum. Now I want you on the chart to write what you learned yesterday. Anything that you learned yesterday on competency-based curriculum. I know there are so many things that you learned about yesterday. I don't want to preempt, but I want you to, in the chat, write down 2 or 3 things that you learned yesterday on competency-based curriculum. Yes, and Esther Kirotet is saying that he learned about 7 competencies. Joshua, he learned about the mission, and you can write the mission if possible. And if you write about the core competencies, kindly try and write those competencies. Which are those 7 core competencies? Mary is talking about core competencies, as he mentioned, 1, citizenship. And Riziki is talking about it is learner-centered approach. That is what she learned yesterday. Rebecca, he learned about the rationale for CBC, but you can still expound on the rationale of CBC. And Paul Kinoti is, let me read for Paul Kinoti. Paul Kinoti, I learned about Howard multiple intelligence theory that states that learners possess different kind of understanding. Thank you. And that is what we are going to continue building. We are going to continue building from there today. Thank you, Paul. Also, Dr. Mugabe is talking about multiple intelligence, but you can still expound on the same. Oscar Mwangi, CBC is learner-centered, not teacher-centered, based on 3 pillars. I didn't mention the 3 pillars. Which are the 3 pillars that answer CBC? Laws, CBC is child-centered. Catherine learned about self-efficacy. Michael, CBC is all about learner-centered appliance. Nurturing learner potential. Nicholas Balana learned about imagination and creativity. Sorry for that. And Nicholas Barana, imagination and creativity. Then Oshien. Hi guys, he's talking about Nadi County. Wilson learned about national goals of education. Also Barana learned about learning to learn. Technospark 7, and kindly rename kindly give yourself a name. Rename your phone name so that you can refer you by your name. Technospark 7 learned about the characteristic of CBC. Also, CBC is learner-centered according to Annette Nyabura. Purity Moebi, difference between CBC and 844. Josephine, CBC is practical and Nasha, Aditanasha Tarrant. And according to Riziki, there are 7 core competencies: citizenship, learn to learn, communication and collaboration, digital literacy. Barana, again, he learned about the Howard academic multiple intelligence. Mary learned about the basic education curriculum framework, vision, national goals, and best BECF, organization on CBC. And Techno, again, CBC focuses on what learner want to learn. And also somebody, Margaret Bahati, learned about the big difference between CBC and 844. Paul Kenoti. Basic education curriculum framework, there are 2 levels, stage-based and age-based. I also learned that in the CBC, so learners are not are known as time takers. Thank you, Paul. So, And the Kifure Steven, CBC learner-centered, Halit for 4 is teacher-centered. And nobody is mentioning about the pathways. Did you learn about anything to do with the pathways that are there in CBC? And nobody is even mentioning about the values. I don't know whether you learned anything to do with values. And I can see there is somebody whose hand is up. I don't know whether I can see, no, the hand has gone down. I want to hear age-based and stage-based. Is there anybody who learned about values? Who can give us examples of values that you learned? You have mentioned about the core competencies. What about the values? I'm waiting to see whether there is anybody who will mention about the values. Ezekiel, values, patriotism and respect. Yes, because we need to learn about this thing. When we talk about those who are in primary school, they know they have interacted with curriculum designs and they know what we are talking about. And somebody is talking about responsibility, love, unity. Yes, those are some. I know those are some of the things that you learned yesterday. When it comes to values, responsibility, love, and unity. And I know how they are in mainstream in CBC. When you talk about love, as we progress, you learn how they will be. And even the core competence, because yesterday was just an introduction to CBC. As we proceed, you learn more about CBC. Now, we have love, social justice, and unity. That is from those categories. Thank you very much for everybody who have responded to that recap of what we learned yesterday. Thank you very much. Now, I want us now to proceed to our first section today. I'm going to begin, and Madam Joyce will come later, hoping she'll have sorted out her sound. So I'm going to begin with the first section, and allow me to share my slide. So today we are going to deal with learner-centered strategies and learner-centered strategies. And I'm going to begin from, to start from what we are learning yesterday. There is somebody who said in the LICA that yesterday they learned that CBC is learner-centered. And being learner-centered, it means teachers have to employ different type of strategies in order to meet various needs of the learner.
Karemi, am I clear now?
Yes, you are clear.
Sorry, I had to go looking for a room where that is Nini. It's okay, just go on. Thank you.
Okay, Karibu. So we are going to begin from, and one of you said that they learned about multiple intelligence theory. And they realized that multiple intelligence theory alludes to the fact that learners are unique. And if that means that every learner who is in your class is unique. And those learners they usually perceive and process information differently. And therefore, as a teacher, you have to come up with strategies that you make sure that you fulfill the needs of that learner. And that is what we are going to discuss today, how you are supposed to go about it as a teacher to ensure that any learner who is in your class is taken care of in terms of the teaching strategies that you use. And that is what we are talking about, that we have different type of learners in a given class. And the most important thing when it comes to that aspect is that as a teacher, you need to understand them. You need to know that every learner is unique. And that is why even somebody said that yesterday he learned that those learners that are known as used to call slow learners, they are time takers, meaning they usually take time to process information. Compared to those we call gifted, we usually process information very fast. That's the difference between the two. Now the challenge when it comes to a teacher is how do you ensure the two learners are taken care of. Those that are gifted who process information very fast, and those who take time to process information and to make sense out of it. How to make sure that the two learners are taken care of? And to ensure that both learners are taken care of, as a teacher, you have to follow your instructional strategies or instructional method or the methodology that you use in class. Because you have to provide, we are talking about multiple ways, that is approaches that will ensure that different learners are able to access, process, and interpret and apply information. But if you decide to use only one method, then you'll be disadvantaging a lot of learners. And that will be the basis of our discussion today. And somebody is saying that there is nothing on the screen. Madam Joyce, is my screen okay? Can see somebody saying on the chat that my screen is not visible.
No, it's okay. They need to check. It's okay. It's okay.
Okay, so today we are going to discuss on how the teacher can use various methodology to ensure that they take care of each and every learner who is in class. So, and before we begin, I want you to go to your chat again and tell us what you know, and what you want to learn about learner-centered strategy. First, you begin by what you know. What do you know about learner-centered strategy? And what do you want to know, or what do you want to learn about the learner-centered strategy? Kindly go to your, put your answers on the chat. What you know about learner-centered strategy, and what you want to learn about learner-centered strategy. And Joshua is saying that according to him, teacher is a guide. What is what Joshua? And then Paul Kinoti, according to him, learner-centered strategy means valid teaching method to take care of all the learners, and the techno learners are actively involved in activities.
Lyle Kenya, teacher is a facilitator.
And Rebecca, sorry, Joyce, continue.
I know each learner is unique according to Rebecca, who's saying teacher is a facilitator. What I know, learner is at the core. Learners are involved. They are given a chance to attempt an activity. Learners learn on their own. It is a strategy. The learner is the main focus. Activities in learning where the learner is the key participant. Tuendelee. We are 92 of us, and those are less than 20.
And Adre is saying that learner-centered is where the learner is the main person in the learning area.
Mukubio, learners discover holistic method. Liziki, hands-on learning. Juliet Kangai, teacher facilitate learning. Clementine, learners learn through practicals. Teacher guides learner to learn from known to unknown according to saying. Mary T, teacher coordinates the class. And I can see like we are having the same people giving us responses. Gideon Karabu, teacher facilitates the learning area. Josephine, learners cooperate and work with peers. Learners learn by doing according to Stephen. Kimani, learners are given opportunities in hands-on activities. Theophilus, learner is the main participant. Let's move on, let's go on. Tuandike. Clementine, learner learn through guidance of the teachers. Let's have new people also coming in. Group learning according to Riziki. You can see I'm still repeating the same people. Adelaide, learners are able to explore their talents. Apoe 12, learners discover while learning. Purity, Mwembi, how can we vary teaching methods? I think is what he wants to know. What she wants to know. Francisco, learners are actively engaged in learning activities. Yes, Karimi?
Elizabeth is learning, which is the question. Elizabeth, we are putting down on what you know about learner-centered strategies and what you want to learn. And Hussein Gabara, teacher provides safe learning aids for learners to manipulate and discover new things. Where the learners' imagination is vital, the oral presentation of discussion, learners are center of attention according to Nixon. While learning is for the interest of the learner to teacher. Benson Kimathi. We are talking learners are able to acquire new skills and attitudes. Then Victor, improve participation, improve retention of knowledge, boost performance at work, develop problem-solving skills, foster collaborative learning, make learning more fun, facilitate personalized learning. Thank you, Victor. Ellie, Clara takes the active stage in the learning process. I want each and every person to write down what they know, because it is now personal. As a teacher, you need to diversify teaching method to accommodate type of learner. That is Rebecca. Mary, involve use of hard on mind on activity for learner to acquire skills. Josephine, I want to know how to effectively use learner-centered approach. And Hussein, learner center is enjoyable and relaxing. And learner is actively involved in more practicals and encourage discovery. That is Elizabeth. Then Purity, no, learner-centered strategy according to Purity creates curiosity. I want to create curiosity. As a learner, I want to know more, want to know how best I can involve learner in lesson in order to get the best out of them. Thank you, Purity.
And lastly, Purity, a teacher is only a facilitator. I think that is okay now. Learners learn how to be innovative. Aremi?
Yes, let me read this one from Millie. In CBC, we are taught to improvise some things. Improvise some things cannot be improvised. When it comes to seeding, planting, and cookery, how do we make CBC more accommodative? I don't know where that question was answered yesterday, but that is the idea behind CBC, to improvise. Even when it comes to seed drinks, those are some of the things. Some of them you do not have to buy too expensive. Even you can come up with their own nurseries in your schools. So I thank all those people who have responded to that section on what you know and what you want to learn. You can continue writing down, because we are immediately after this, we are going to save charts and we will be referring them later. Madam Joyce, can we continue?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And now we are going to continue with our discussion on learner-centered strategy. And we are going to begin from here with this activity. This is a famous saying by somebody by the name Carmen, and he said this: I hear and I forget. I see and I remember. I do I understand, I reflect, and I learn. And from that quote, we are going to do this activity in the chat again, because I want each and every person to write, what do you understand from the quote? And then you reflect on your teaching approach and identify those that may refer to each situation mentioned in the quote. And then you rate yourself between 1 and 5. How often do you use the teaching approach you have mentioned above? Between 1 and 5, that is 1, never, 2, rarely, 3, sometimes, 4, often, 5, always. Now, you tell us whether you use the approach that you use correspond to I hear and I forget. 2, I see and I remember. All I do and I understand, I reflect and I run. First, what do you understand from the quote? Then after that, reflect on your teaching approaches and identify those that may refer to each situation mentioned in the quote. That is the approach that you use in class. Does it refer to any one of them? And how often do you use it? Now that is a question. What you understand, the approach you use, and how often. If you write 1, I'll know it means never. If you write 2, it means rare. If you write 3, sometimes. If you write 4, often. If you write 5, always. I did respond to that activity in the chat. First, what you understand about that quote? Now, Eunice is talking number 4. Often, you did not tell me. First, you need to tell me the approach that you use and how often. We don't know whether it is I hear, I forget, I see, and I remember, I do, and I understand. I want to know which is that approach that, like many have answered it. Many have said, I want to look at that one. For now, I can see now the answers are coming. Lillian, there is than more understanding happens when the runner is involved in activity. Yes, that is what Lillian understand. But Riziki goes ahead and say, lecture method, I hear and I forget. Video recording and role play, I see and I remember. No, I hear and I forget means often. Use it often. Video recording, role play, never. I see, I remember 2, according to her, which 2 means rarely. Thank you, Riziki. Then there is somebody here, Nicholas. I hear and I forget. But Nicholas, you cannot tell us how frequent you use I hear and I forget the first one. And then you tell us the approach you use. Hussein, if learners are not doing activity, they will understand better. That is what he understood by the quote. Juliet is still saying that she cannot see my screen. Hey, Juliet, what is wrong from your side? Because the other participant can see my screen. Now there is Dorothy. I see and I remember 2, which means 2 means rarely. I see and I remember rarely. I was asking you if you reflect on the approach that you use and how often. Francisco, I reflect and I learn that sometimes. Use it sometimes. I reflect and I learn sometimes, according to Francisco. Purity Moebi, when an activity is done practically, it is not easily forgotten. That is what she understood from the quote. Then Eric Kinani say, I see, I remember. And he, according to him, he used it sometimes. Joshua, I see and I remember sometimes. Esther, demonstration, I see, I remember. So majority are in the second section of the quote. I see and I remember. We are going to find out which one is the best when it comes to the running strategy we talk about. I should take care of all the needs of the runner. Then Esther, demonstration, I see, I remember. It is true. And if I say I remember, meaning demonstration, you do not involve the runners. You just do, they see, but they will remember. Meaning they do not do. Then we go to aldehyde. I do and I understand. Aldehyde is in the third level of the quote, and he uses it sometimes. I see, I can recall. That one is second, but you did not tell us how often. I see and I remember sometimes. That is Nicholas. Stevie, he used lecture method. I hear, I forget, but use it sometimes. I do, I get. That is, I think it is the third aspect of the quote, and often. So that is what Stephen usually. Then Michael, I hear and I forget is more of action. Thank you. I see and I remember is more of use of charts, and then I do and I understand is more of experimenting. Thank you. That is how Michael understood the quote. But Twara is saying, I see, I remember. They use it sometimes. I see and I remember is use of charts and project. And number 5, usually always. That is according to Mary. Always, that is what the approaches that she uses. And the Lillian, I hear, I forget. Number 1, the first aspect, and the always. So means somebody said that is the lecture method. So you can see now we are trying now to kind of analyze the approaches that we use in class. Rebecca, again, I can't see your screen too. Kindly check from your gadget where you cannot see my screen because my screen is visible. Stephen Jokona, I see and I remember. I use practical method. They are fully involved in inserting specimen and apparatus. The charts are many. Juliet, I cannot see your screen. Okay. Juliet again. Self whether I do and I remember, which is, she's saying it is practical. It is true. And in Phoenix, I see and I always remember. Thank you very much for those who have responded. When we look at that activity, I hear and forget. That is what some of you have said. One of you have said it is a lecture method. Then I see and I remember. Somebody was talking about 2 as a demonstration. But demonstration is good, but it is more beneficial if you demonstrate and you allow the learners to do what you have done, then they will understand. That is, I do and I understand. And then when we talk about I reflect and I learn, after all that, do learners reflect on what they have learned? When they are reflecting, they learn. Because as we will continue learning later, we are going to see that one method of reflection is what we call journaling, as a method of approach of learner-centered study. So now I reflect and I learn. That is what we are calling journaling, and what we call the reflective journal, which you are familiar with. So that is what the quote say. And here we are defoculating modes. I do and I understand. I reflect and I learn. Those are appropriate approaches that that you help the learner to understand and to retain what they are taught. So I can see people are still putting down. I see and I remember, and they are saying often. So I can see the level at which the approaches are. They range between I hear and I forget, and I see and I remember. But from now henceforth, we want you to move to the second session. I do and I understand. Even if it is a demonstration, let the learners be part and parcel of your demonstration. Let them do, because unless they do, they will not understand. They will only see. And again, let them sit at the end of or during the session and after, let them reflect and they will learn. So thank you very much for all those who have responded to that activity. And now I want us now to proceed to the next section. Now we ask ourselves, what do we mean by learner-centered activity? Now, here we are talking of those methods whose focus is on the learner. Whereby the learner is the center of learning, and the teacher should focus more on learners, and where learning should shift from teacher-centered to learner-centered. In this case, we are saying that the learner is involved in solving of the problem, when you are teaching, the learner are involved when they're answering the questions. And even the learner themselves, they are involved in formulating their own questions. We are going to see when we shall be dealing with specific learner-centered activities. We'll look at those approaches or the strategies that the learner formulate questions of their own. And then they try and come up with their own solution through a kind of inquiry or a research-based method. We are going to see those approaches as we proceed. And even when you are teaching the learners are involved in a discussion. The learners are able to explain concepts. The learners are given opportunities to debate. And also there is opportunities for learners to brainstorm during the class. So that is what we are calling learner-centered activity. If that happens in class, then we can say that the approach we are using is learner-centered. So if you go back to that code, as majority of you say that I hear and forget, I see and I remember, then you see that you'll be denying your learners opportunities to do what we have talked about. And therefore this learner-centered strategy should focus on the experience of the learner. Remember, quality learning will take place if the teacher is able to draw from the experience of the learner. Because when these learners come to class, they come with the experiences from home. Also, learning should take into account the background where the learner comes from. Meaning, even the example we give in class should be to take care of where the learner comes from, so that the learning can make sense. We should not teach the learner by giving them a foreign background. The teaching and learning to take care of background where the learner comes from, and the perspectives. From which perspective does a learner see concepts? Also, you need to take care of preferences of the learners so that they can be able to relate with what you are teaching, and what is their interest as they relate to learning. Remember, we said your aim is here to meet the needs of the learner. Therefore, the learner should be given opportunity to make connection on what you are teaching, and that is the only way they will be able to make sense of the information you are giving them. And we are saying that it should help the learner to make connection between what they already know and the new information. That is why we are saying when you are training the learner, take care of draw from their experience, consider their background, their preferences and interests, so that what they already know, there will be a connection with the new information. They will be able to understand. And this type of learner-centered activities, they kind of increase the engagement. And they also lead the learners feel motivated because they feel part and parcel of learning, and it will lead to success when it comes to and success of the learner. So if the learners are able, if you engage the learners, if the learner feel motivated, they will succeed in what they are learning. So that is the idea behind learner-centered activity. And the key point here is always when you want to ensure that your approach is learner-centered, it should take care of the learner's needs, their experience, their background, the perspective on how they see things, what is their preferences, and even interests as they relate to learning. And from that, we are now going to narrow down to those learner-centered strategies and what we are going to cover later. And we are going to do that by going to a breakout room for 20 minutes. And that is the activity we are going to undertake. So I want you to screenshot my screen, because I'm going to put you into 4 rooms. As you can see in those 4 rooms, although I'm going to copy this email, like this URL, I'm going to copy it in your chat, so that if you find yourself in room 3, you'll answer that question on ICT and you can access information to that URL. I'm going to put it in the chat. So room 1, you are going to deal with those 5 aspects. I'm concerned with those people who are saying that they cannot see my screen. I don't know how they are going to get this activity. I'm concerned. I'm going to try and copy them in the chat. Room 1, you are going to deal with those 5 aspects. Using example, discuss the following learning-centered strategy. You discuss cooperative learning, and if possible, you can give example. You discuss group discussion, independent study, portfolio development, and journaling. Then room 2, you will discuss how the what is Venn diagram and how it can be used. You discuss about community service learning, inquiry-based learning, and project-based learning. And kindly remember to give examples. That is what the question says. That is room 1 and room 2. If you find yourself in room 2, we are going to talk about ICT, because ICT is also a learner-centered strategy. It's an approach you can use in class. In your perception, what is ICT integration? How can a teacher benefit from the use of ICT in teaching and learning? And how does the learner benefit from use of ICT? I'm going to copy this link on the chat so that if you click to it, it will take you to a document that will help you to answer that question. Then room 4, the second section of our today's presentation will be on inclusivity. Discuss strategies that school can put in place to promote inclusivity in education. And question number 2, discuss various characteristics of inclusivity in education. I believe 20 minutes will be enough for you to have that work, because that is all what we are going to discuss today. So 20 minutes will help you to make quality contribution. And when we come back, when you go to those breakout rooms, you find one person very quickly who will share the discussion, and one person who will be taking down the notes and who will come and present during the plenary. I hope I have made myself clear. And I'm buying time so that you can be able to note those questions, so that when you go to any room, you'll already have mastered the question. So those are the activities, and those are the forums, and I hope you have screenshot. You have screenshot that, because I want to send you now to breakout room. So allow me to take you to breakout room now, hoping you have already screenshot that. It will last for 20 minutes. And I'm going to take you to 4 rooms. So after 20 minutes, so I'm going to send you to 4 breakout rooms. And the breakout room starts now.
I can mute myself.
Okay. Where am I? Where are you people?
I was in room 2. I left by mistake.
Oh,
Hello, members. Hello, members. Hello, members.
Mano anginya bathie muciĩ. Mano anginya mangĩthie muciĩ.
Atware mũthie wacha nigoje.
She lived during learning about occupations. We have a topic like occupations in English, whereby we can give them a questionnaire. We go and find out from those various people from various occupations what work they do. Then now we come and we bring the answers back to class. Yeah, is it okay? You can finish. Yeah? Why are you through? Yeah, I'm through. Okay. Now, our time is over. We move back to the main class. Thank you for much for your cooperation and thank you for your contribution. I don't want to say programs because these are very good.
So welcome back to the main session. After that successful discussion, I have managed to visit all the rooms. And I want us now to go direct to presentation on what you have discussed. And I would request the first group, that is room 1, to give us their findings on what they understand by the following learner-centered strategies. Room 1, you can list up the secretary at room 1 can list up his or her hand so that you can be, Madam Waboba, you can go on.
Thank you. This is room 1. And our group was to talk about cooperating learning, group discussion, independent study, portfolio development, and journaling. Remember, we were to give examples on this type of learning and how it helps in center activities to the learner. Number 1, cooperative learning. We talked about learners working in groups with one goal or aiming at one goal. In that, if they are to find out about good conductors of electricity, they'll collect materials, come together, try to find out if the materials are able to light up. Now, when it lights up, that is a goal achieved, and the learners are able to learn. They have learned through cooperation because each pupil, each learner will bring a particular item for the activity. Number 2, that is discussion. Here we have learners coming together to do teamwork. Like in agriculture, they want to put up a poultry project. They'll have to come together, discuss the factors that they have to consider on setting up a shelter for the poultry, how to get the poultry for the project, and how to be taking care of that project, that is poultry. Independent study, here we have learners who have an activity or they're given an activity, they go and research individually. The learner goes, finds out, does the research individually, and comes later on and share it, give the findings of what the learner has found out. For example, if a child has been given a research on kabaddi, that is PE, PHE. The child will go look for the skills in playing kabaddi, come up with a formula, and later on be able to share to the rest on how this game is played. That is independent study. The learner does it independently, but later on comes and share. We come to number 4, which is talking about portfolio development. Here, it is a process. The learner works in stages. For example, if it is day 1, which activity was done in that day 1? Let's talk about a project of vegetable growing. Day 1, what happened? It was preparation of the land or siting of the land. Takes a photo and then it is developed later on, put in a file. Come to mathematics, it's about the shapes. The learner will go make the shapes and come and stick them in the portfolio. It can be a plain book or a file. Now you'll find that this one leads to the competence and how a learner has achieved whatever was to be done. Journaling, here we talk about putting down what one has learned, like in daily basis. For example, us as the TPD students, we have to reflect. We have to have a journal of all the events that we have learned. The same to these learners, they need to have a journal saying what they have learned on that particular day and what should they do in case it didn't go the way they wanted. What should they do to improve on it? I think that is what we have shared as a group. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Aldaid, for that insightful discussion. And thank you, Group 1. And you can appreciate Madam Waboba, members of Group 1. Kindly appreciate your secretary for presenting well. I was in your discussion group and I had the discussion. Thank you for updating the point. We go now to room 2. I can see Charles Mwenda, you had this up. Are you secretary to room 2? Charles, you can unmute. Secretary room 2. Charles. Purity. Okay, Madam Purity Mwebi, are you the secretary?
Yes.
Continue.
Okay, so in room 2, we were discussing about the first is about the Venn diagram. And we say that in a Venn diagram is an illustration that shows similarities and some differences of some issues. For example, the learners can be given a task to do, like to go and model, maybe it's a lesson on modeling. The teacher may tell them to model a house, just a house. So these learners, they'll do various houses, and then now they'll bring the feedback to class, and now they'll check out what are the differences on various houses and what are the similarities that are found in a house. So in this way, we have these circles. When the circles overlap, it shows the similarities, and when they don't overlap, it shows differences. Then the second was about community-based learning. In this type of learning, the learner is given a task to go and do it at home or from the community. So in this aspect, the learner gets to learn from the community. For example, the teacher may instruct them to go and listen to a conversation so that they may identify if those conversations are they are using polite language or they're not using polite language. So in this way, the learner will be very keen to go and listen to various conversations from the community and then bring feedback to class, so that in this way now they'll have learned that some people use polite language and how they are used, and others, they don't use that language. So they will have learned from the community. Then on project-based learning, It's about involving learners in an activity. For example, you may tell them to make a rope using locally available materials. And after now they've made the rope, they may make it from old pieces of clothes, or they may use waste papers. After now making the rope, they perform various tasks using that rope. Instead of buying, they make use of the locally available materials. Or the learners may participate in a project at home, like in farming activity, and then now they bring the feedback back to class to make them be aware of their environment and what they are supposed to do or what is done in the various environments. Then on inquiry-based learning, in this type of learning, we use questionnaires. So they're given questionnaires, they may use them in school or outside school. An example is when they are learning about maybe occupations, they will be given a questionnaire to use it. So they'll go to various people. For example, if it's in a school compound, they may go to a cook, and then now they ask questions on what she does, how she does the chores and everything. And then she goes to the head teacher, or she goes to the gatekeeper, or they go at home and look at various people, maybe to go to the hospital, and they find a nurse. Then now they're able to answer those questionnaires. In this way, it makes them learn or know about the professions by themselves. They have not been taught by a teacher, but now they get to learn them themselves. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Purity Mwembi, and the entire Room 2, all the members of Room 2. I think we are 27 or 28 of you. You can clap for yourself. You appreciate your secretary and yourself for that good work. Before I proceed to the next one on ICT, let me briefly look at, summarize what the members have talked about learner center studies. But I'm going to come back to the other two groups. But I want to make a summary of what Room 1 and Room 2 have said. And when they come to cooperative learning, here you are talking, as they have said, they gave a very clear summary that you put learners in group and then they complete a task, meaning that every group is working a component of that task or project, and you structure to ensure that all the members in each group contribute. And they also gave a very good example of cooperative learning. Those who have been listening, they give a very good example of cooperative learning. And they talked about where the learners can do things to do with conductors. Every group is looking for conductors, and here maybe the project is identifying conductor. Discussion they talked about, whereby the learners are able to articulate their views when they are responding to an opinion. That is what they said, and they gave an example. If learners are coming up with a poultry farming, the learner have to discuss various aspects of poultry farming. And again, there's a structured, and it can either be a large or a small group. We talk of either a group discussion and so on and so forth. Then when it comes to independent learning, they give an example of a Kabaddi in PE, whereby individual students will go and will learn on their own about Kabaddi, whereby the learner will select a topic. They have selected Kabaddi and they define their problem, they gather the information about the topic, and they will come and now deliberate the issues maybe in class or in any other forum. They give a very good example of a Kabaddi as a game. Then the portfolio, they gave an example. And thank you, that example they gave was very good. And they said it is a process, whereby it is a strategy where the runners will gather, organize, and illustrate examples. And the example they say that if you are dealing with vegetable growing, even if you are preparing the farm, you have to take a photo because you want to see how you are progressing and how you are acquiring skills. And they say that even if it is mathematics and you are preparing shapes, you need to prepare those shapes and put them in a plain book, or you put them in a file. And that was a very good example of what portfolio development is all about. And then journaling, they talked about, they gave an example of themselves as a TPD, whereby you are supposed to keep on reflecting of what you are learning. That is an opportunity to record your own thoughts, feeling, and reflection. That is what we call journaling. And we alluded to the journaling later, and you said it is a strategy. And it was, if you can remember the quote we talked about I reflect and I learn. So when it comes to journaling, it is a matter of reflecting so that you can be able to learn. If you experience a challenge, how are you going to overcome that challenge in the future? That is simply what we mean by challenging. When it comes to Venn diagram, they have explained whereby you can have two circles, and those circles may overlap. But I don't want to explain this. I want you to listen to this video.
Remy, is there sound? My side, I can't hear any sound.
You cannot.
I'm the only one.
Really sound, but they're able to see if they're able to see the right thing, they'll do something.
There's no sound, but you can see what is happening.
Yes, there is sound, but it's not audible. But even this expectation is just a background. So that is that video was meant to demonstrate there was no sound apart from the background music. So you're only supposed to observe, and that is how the Venn diagram works. So you have two diagrams overlapping each other. Where they intersect indicate the similarity, where the other side where does not intersect indicate the differences. Then we go to community service learning. And the groups that was on room 2, we are dealing with the Venn diagram and community service learning. It is by the teacher design a project where the learner will participate in a service in service within a community that has a learning component. We are talking of, this one is common now in CBC. It is not just going to the community to clean a market or to plant tree, but when the learners are cleaning the market or they are planting trees, there is something the teacher wants the learner to learn. Even when you're sweeping the market, you must have an outcome that you want the learner to achieve, not just a matter of cleaning the market. That is, it is a learning that is structured, but you will be able to achieve the outcome by participating in a community service. Then an equal-based learning, and the group did it very well, whereby a learner will gather, will come up with a question and investigate in real world. And they gave an example whereby the learner can come up with a questionnaire and go aloud to the school asking questions so that they can be able to understand the solution to a problem. It is a kind of a research whereby you encourage the student to ask questions and investigate in the real world. They give an example of a questionnaire.
They are insisting you repeat the Venn diagram.
I repeat. Okay. I'm going to repeat it, but let me finish with the project-based learning, whereby a learner are guided to identify a project which is undertaken, systematic and important. And they give the example they gave when they come to project. You talked about learners working, making a loaf using a locally available material. That was a very good example of a project. And the learners, now the learners will work together and they will come up with a loop. So you're saying identify a project which is undertaken systematically and reported, and then the learners will report back after they have come up with a loop. That's a good explanation, and that is what I expected from the two groups. But allow me to repeat the Venn diagram as per your request. So that is all concerning the Venn diagram. I hope now you have understood how to use the Venn diagram. And I hope you will be able to apply the same when they come to your classroom teaching. It's a very interesting method of teaching and learning. Now, I want to go, now that we are through with that section, I want to go back to the room number 3 that was dealing with ICT. Room number 3 that was dealing with ICT. And I want the secretary room number 3 to raise up her hand and answer to that question, because now we are, as I said earlier, ICT is also a teaching learner-centered strategy. Secretary room number 3. Who was taking down the notes? I was there, you had a discussion. Who was secretary room number 3? Okay, Clementine, unmute yourself.
Hello.
Clementine?
Yes. How are you?
Continue.
I'm Clementine. I was in group 3 as the secretary, and we will manage to discuss what is ICT. And we say that ICT is the use of technology in learning or use of technology devices in learning. Now, this is whereby the teacher or the learner uses ICT technology in learning to enhance or to make the learning real. Now we say that how can a teacher use or benefit from the use of ICT? I'm sorry. So we say that as a teacher benefits a lot since he gets a lot of information from the ICT when he does research on what to teach using the devices. And we say also that when a teacher uses ICT or technology in learning, he as a teacher gain more knowledge on how or to explore the activity that he is going to teach. Also, we say that ICT benefits the teacher because it improves his or her teaching when he or she uses the technology. Also, it encourages the teacher to collaborate with other teachers when they search for more activities in the internet, and it makes the learning real, and the teacher is able to explore more activities that he can use in his teaching. Yes, we also talk about how does the learners benefit from the use of ICT in the learning. The first one is that we say that ICT encourages learners to learn more, or it makes the learners eager to learn more about what they are learning using the ICT. They do a lot of research when they use technology in learning. We say also that learners become more motivated as they explore through their technology, because they get more information, they become very curious, motivated when they get what they want in their technology. Also, we can say that learners curiosity arose when they use this technology, and everybody becomes more curious to know much more about the activities that they are learning. Learners also assess education despite their background. Remember that we have learners from some areas which are semi-arid areas. Now, when they use technology, they cooperate with learners from different parts of the country, and they are able to share a common lesson or a common activity, and they are able to learn more through each other. Then we say that learners also learn from their comfort zone. The learners are not able to move to go to the school, but they learn in their homes, so long as they have the gadgets that they can use to learn when they are at home. They can also save information using their gadgets when they are learning. Now, you find that they save information for future reference. Whenever they need it, they can access it through their devices. Learners also are able to interact with different materials. Maybe some of the material cannot be found in remote areas, especially when we go to learners from the remote, those sides of Turkana, those sides of Wajir, they have not, maybe they don't know some of the things, but they are able now to find this information from the internet. Are you hearing me? Hello? Hello?
We can hear you. We can hear you. Continue.
You are together. Learners
Yes.
also are able to evaluate themselves using the technology. For example, in the technology, they can get some questions, then they are able to do it, they evaluate themselves, then also they can do some revision where they have not understood after evaluating themselves. Learners are able also to explore learning when they use ICT. And also lastly, or not least, learners are able to learn the curriculum design as it is posted in the internet. So learners are able to learn before even they go to school to learn those topics, sorry. Now, as they know what they are supposed to learn through the curriculum design, then they can explore by learning by themselves so that it can make the learning easy. So I think that is also the last, is that there is smooth transition from one level to another when the learners use technology in learning. So I think that is all what we explore in group 3. Maybe
Thank you very
if
much.
there is somebody who can add something, then you in group 3, then you can add something if I've forgotten. Thank you.
Thank you.
And welcome.
Thank you very much, Madam, for that elaborate. In fact,
thank you.
I don't think we have anything to add. You have given us more than what we expected, and thank you very much, group 3. And I would encourage all the other members, when you access the node, try to go to this link, click and lead. The benefits are all fair. But before I comment on what group 3 have talked about, let me first deal with introduction of ICT. As they have said, simply ICT integration. We are saying that this type of, it is learning. A minute. We are saying that ICT integration is the process where teachers use technology to help them and their learners achieve curriculum instruction. And when we talk about technology tools, we are talking of various type of tools. It is not only computer. There are so many technology, ICT. We are talking of computer, we are talking of laptops, we are talking of smartphones. And we are also talking of even the social media application. We also form of tools. We are also talking about any other form of an application that the learner can use to access the information. And the main aim of ICT integration is to help the learner to improve their learning, and therefore helping to achieve the instructional goals. And that is what the Loom 2 alluded to. And ICT integration is a learner-centered strategy, because if you utilize it in class, as a teacher, you are going now to let the learner do more, or you just facilitate learning. And the group was saying that the learner are able to explore. When the learner is exploring, you as a teacher, your work is just to facilitate learning. The learners are learning through ICT. And this type of learning does not only take place in class, it also takes place at home. Because even when they go at home, they can be able to access those ICT or technology tools and to continue learning. That is what we say, that using ICT, the learner can learn anywhere. That is, they break the classroom boundary. And even the teachers to take advantage of ICT tools, so that even those learners who miss classes due to one reason or the other, they can be able to learn. For example, if a teacher is able to record his lesson and present it in class, the same lesson can be posted maybe in and the learner who did not come to school that day will be able to access the teacher's Facebook page and will be able to access the same lesson. That is why learners can benefit from access. So the same group talk about access. Therefore means the learner should not miss a lesson because he or she did not come to school, but the teacher can post the same lesson after recording him or herself, his or her own Facebook page, and the learner will be able to go through the lesson from the comfort of their home. That is how ICT can be helpful. So as we continue with our discussion, even in later part of TPD, we are going to go into detail how we can use ICT in teaching, in learning, because nowadays we are not emphasizing on teaching. In CPC we talk of learning, but we are only introducing you what we mean by ICT integration. And the other thing we need to learn about is when we are using ICT, there is what we call Bloom's digital taxonomy, whereby the Bloom digital taxonomy, it informs the teacher on how to use technology and digital tools to facilitate student learning. And I will encourage you to go to the internet and read more about Bloom digital taxonomy. How can you use technology even to assess the level of the skill the learner have acquired? Because we are talking of using technology to help the learner to move from the lower order thinking skill to higher order thinking skill. And I give an example. If the learner can be able, you can use the technology to help the learner to remember. And this one will only take place if the learner is able to copy information from the internet to a Word document. That is what we mean by copying. Or when the learner is reading a book in the is reading a book in the computer, is the learner able to highlight the main point using a highlighter? In the internet, there are so many tools you can use to highlight. If the learner is able to highlight information when reading a book in the computer or information in the computer, that will only help the learner to remember. Or if the learner is searching for information, or the learner is able to bookmark an internet page, so that the learner will be able to come back later and read the same information. That is a lower order thinking skill, just only to remember. But you need now to move your learner to understanding using technology. When we talk about journaling, how is a learner able to reflect using the ICT? Is this learner able to tweet information, what we call sharing? For example, the learner is able to respond to opinion of the other in the internet. Or the learner is able to send an email, what we call subscribing. That is another high, it is now we are moving from remembering to understanding, because a learner cannot respond to a tweet in the Twitter without understanding. then the learner should be able to, you should use the ICT to help the learner to develop application skill. And I'm going to give an example whereby the learner is able to upload an information, or the learner is able to edit using technology. And this one can be very good when it comes to composition lighting, especially when you are teaching English. Is the learner able to light and edit the same composition? Now the learner is applying the technology. That level is higher than the neighboring. Then we go to analyzing. How can you help the learner to develop an analysis or to analyze using the technology? A good example is what we call surveying. Surveying means the learner is able to develop an online questionnaire and gather information. And he is able to analyze that information using a questionnaire and then make sense out of it. We talk about like the Google form that we use. You can use a questionnaire using a Google form, and then you send to other learners or to parents using either a message or a WhatsApp, and then they can respond to a questionnaire. The other one is mind mapping. Those who know what is mind mapping, it's a very, there are so many applications that make use of mind mapping. The learner is able to analyze information using mind mapping. If you have time, maybe we'll look for time and I'll show you how to deal with mind mapping using technology. It's a very good way you can expose the learner when it comes to learning. Now we are moving to the level of evaluation. That is a higher order thinking skill where you're using technology. And this one will come to when you are talking of grading. And even as a teacher, you know how you can be able, are you able to grade using the technology? Are you able to test something using the technology, or you can post information online, or you can moderate a discussion online? That is a high level of evaluation. And then the highest level is creative. This is now where the learner comes up with original online. Maybe it is a video. The learner is able to capture his own video and put it in the Facebook account. Or the learner is able to participate with what we call blogging. When we hear those people who are known as bloggers, that is a high order thinking. Or the learner is able to compose a song, what we call podcasting, and they are able to upload that song in the internet. There are so many applications that deal with the podcasting. So it is important as a teacher to help the learner to move from one level of remembering to high level of evaluation and creation. I encourage you to go to the internet and read more about Bloom Digital Taxonomy. It is there. You can read about it. And then there is a model that is used when it comes to ICT integration in class. We call it TIPAS model. And I know some of you may have come across that model. That model talk about the technology, content, and pedagogy. I'm going to summarize them. One, technology means as a teacher, you should have knowledge on how to use various technology. If it is a laptop, you're able to use a laptop, you're able to use a smartphone, or you're able to use any other form of digital devices. You have a skill on how to use them. When it comes to content, you have a mastery of your subject area. Meaning, if it is mathematics, you have a knowledge on how to So I'm saying you have a mastery of your subject area, if it is mathematics, if it is English. And then when it comes to pedagogy, that is the art of teaching. Are you aware of the method you are supposed to teach this content that you have mastered? So you must have knowledge on technology, you have mastery of your content, and you must understand how you are supposed to deliver that content. That is what we mean by the three areas. Now we need to learn how they intersect. Now you are conversant with the technology and you are conversant with the content, and the two are intersecting. That means when it comes to content, you should be able to convert this content into a digital content. For example, are you able to prepare a digital lesson plan? That is what we mean by, well, that is where now the two comes in, the technology and content. Are you able to come up with a video representing a concept. Because we say technology will not help you to teach a content if you do not understand that content. So you must understand the content so that you'll be able to use a technology to convert it into a digital form. Then we talk about content and pedagogy. You are very good in mathematics, but are you able to come up with a method that you'll be able to deliver that content so that the learner will be able to understand it? That is where the two intersect. And that is now what we are talking of learner-centered strategy. Which is the best learner-centered strategy you are going to use in order to deliver that content that you are conversant to? That is what we call pedagogy content. And then we have technology and pedagogy, meaning you should choose the correct technology that will help you to deliver that content using the appropriate pedagogy. And I give an example. If you want to teach using group discussion, which technology are you going to choose to facilitate group discussion? Or if you want to use project method, like the one we talked about earlier, which technology will help you to teach, to utilize project method? If you want to use inquiry-based learning, which technology are you going to use? That is where the two intersect. That is technology and pedagogy. And when the three intersect, it means you are able to use technology to deliver the content that you know using the appropriate pedagogy. And that is what we call TPAC model. So you must have a knowledge on how to use technology. You have a mastery of your content, your subject area, and you must be aware of the method you are supposed to use so that you can deliver that content. Then you use technology in each. You convert the content into digital form. And using the digital content, look for a technology that will help you to deliver that content. That is technology, pedagogy. And then pedagogy content means you should be able to select appropriate methodology to deliver the content. I hope I have, somebody is saying pedagogy did not get it clearly. Please repeat. Pedagogy simply means the art of teaching. And I give an example. You want to teach maybe a concept in agriculture on soil erosion. The pedagogy means which method are you going to use? Are you going to use group discussion? Are you going to use inquiry-based learning? Or are you going to use collaborative? That is what we are talking about, so that you can be able to teach soil erosion. So pedagogy simply means the art of teaching. So again, you can go further and read more about TPAC model, but it is as simple as I have explained. It is simple as I have explained. Thank you, Mary. You are saying that you have understood it. And then as I summarize, we are saying that ICT integration is more than availing technology tools in class. It is how they are actively used. So don't just bring computers to class. It is not just bringing computers or tablets into class, but how are they used by students? Do they help the learner to improve their learning outcomes? But if you just bring devices in class, that is not ICT integration. And it should not be just used for any other way, but they should be used to help the learner to improve their learning outcome. And that is why in CBC, digital devices cut across all the in every core competence, as you have seen, in every learning experience that you are supposed to expose the learner, there must be an aspect of digital devices. So make sure that when you are bringing ICT in classroom, you make sure that you are bringing them for the benefit of learners acquiring information so that they can be able to improve their learning outcome. And we are saying that CBC is a fertile ground for ICT integration because in all the subjects, ICT should be applied when it comes to CBC. And finally, I want to briefly explain some of the models that are used to integrate ICT. First, if you are in school, this is how you are supposed to integrate ICT. First, you need to come up with a vision of what you want to achieve when it comes to ICT. Or what do you want to achieve? Then expertise means teachers should be trained teachers should have skills, knowledge, or competencies on how to use ICT. Then when it comes to digital learning material, there must be digital resources in your school. And then there should be ICT infrastructure like laptop and computers. And for you to acquire, to achieve there must be leadership. If it is head of institution, it is the head of institution who steer that. Ensure there is sufficient how to integrate ICT. The teachers have skills and that is the competencies are required to use ICT. Then there is digital resources that you can use, and there is ICT infrastructure like laptop. And then when all these one are driven by positive leadership in school, there will be pedagogical use of ICT for teaching and learning. Pedagogical means the teachers will be able to use to undertake various learning strategies using ICT and train using train using ICT. But you cannot achieve that without collaboration and support. You need to collaborate with other stakeholders, the ministry, because they are policy to do the ICT, and you also need support from even the sponsors who will provide you with ICT infrastructure. So that is the image of ICT. And finally, we are saying that ICT improve, it helps in improving quality when it comes to teaching and learning. And computer-based, mobile-based technology are available for integration in learning. We are saying that nowadays you can even use technology, smartphone, to teach. And it is important for teachers to acquire ICT competencies. I talked about that when I was talking about expertise. And ICT integration happens within and without classroom. So ICT integration should take even place at home. Technology and ICT integration can be used from being used from basic use, that is productivity tools like Word, Excel, or PowerPoint, to advanced level, whereby we are using the LMS, that like the one that we use in our e-learning campus is LMS. So ICT integration can be as simple as using a word to type a composition. And it can be as advanced as using an LMS to deliver an online learning. And finally, teacher educators need to acquire knowledge and skill to operate system and computer. This is what I was talking about when it comes to expertise. They're able to operate ICT infrastructure. And with those many remarks, I want to stop there and welcome my colleague, Madam Joyce, to continue from there.
Thank you, Mr. Karemi. Asante sana. I hope you can hear me. Can I be heard?
Loud and clear.
Asante sana. So thank you. Can we use the chat and clap for Mr. Karemi? LS. Someone is asking about LMS.
It is learning management system, like the one we use, e-learning, learning management system, LMS. Sorry.
I don't know whether we have time, because I've been told we need to give 5 minutes to Mr. Elphys to explain to them how to access the virtual campus. Elphys, are you in the room?
Yes, I'm here. Good evening.
And Madam Joyce. Madam Joyce.
Yes, Karemi.
And you will go back to activity for room number 4.
Sorry?
Room number 4 will respond to the area on inclusivity.
Oh, okay, Sawa, thank you. So Elphys, stand by. I'll give you a few minutes so that you can be able to explain to them practically on how to get the virtual campus. So may I share my screen, because I want to go straight to the inclusive education. I hope my screen is clear.
Yes.
We are there, ladies and gentlemen. So we are going to look at the concept. This is a final session, concept of inclusive education and its characteristic. And I don't know whether that diagram is very clear. There are some animals here. We have a monkey here. We have.
Yes, it is clear.
Okay, thank you. We have, this is a whale. Or what's this? Penguin. And we have an elephant here. I hope you can see all these. These are fish. Can you see all these animals? And now we have a teacher here, and look at what he's telling them. For everybody has to take the same exam. Please climb that tree. What do you understand by this illustration? Use your chart. What comes into your mind when you look at this illustration? So they are being assessed and they are being told, oh, what you need to do is climb the tree. Let me see what is in the chart. What do you understand by this illustration? Look at it. We have some animals there. And they are being told you need to assess you. And now what you need to do is climb the tree. And you can see the types of the animals that are waiting to climb the tree. So what do you understand by this? And the question I want you to have in mind is it fair to use this kind of assessment where you are telling all these animals or all the fish to climb the tree? Will it be fair for everyone? And as we move on looking at this illustration, I want you to look at the three terms that are there: equality, equity, and justice. So the question I'm asking is there equality in this illustration? Is there equity in this illustration? Is there justice in this illustration? That we have to use the climbing of tree to decide who is the best. We look at what is in the charts first. Some animals like elephants can't. We are gifted differently. We have different abilities. There is no justice. There is no fairness. There is no equity, lack of sensitivity, because each one is unique. No equity, no justice. One should consider individual differences in the learner. We are gifted differently. No equality, fairness, and no justice, because you are saying some of those animals cannot be able to climb. So you cannot use the assessment of climbing the trees to be able to justify the reason why. Just a minute. We should be equal. So now I want to ask you one question. So then what is equality? I can see you are telling me there is no equality, there is no equity and justice. And that is when now we are advocating for the concept of inclusiveness in education. Before we used to talk about integration, and you are saying, no, can we widen it a bit and have inclusive education? So as you look at that concept, so what is then equality? So you must be able to differentiate the three terms. So what is, they are usually put together, but they don't mean the same thing. So then what is equality? Can I start with the first one? What is equality? Equality? What is equality then? You're telling me there is no equality, there is no justice, there is no equity. Then what is equality? Yes? Is where all we have the same strength, sameness, same level. Please make sure you are able to differentiate between equity and equality. Providing the same learning material. Tuendelea tuone, giving equal opportunities regardless of their ability. And Oscar has summarized it all, that equality is giving everyone an equal opportunity. And that is all what we mean by that, equal opportunities for all. So then what is equity? State of equal opportunities for all, regardless of their backgrounds, regardless of their vulnerability, regardless of their areas where they come from. We need to provide equal opportunities, and that is equality. Then what is equity? What is equity? What is equity now? We have addressed the equality. That is still part of equality. Please give me equity. Equity is being fair to all. Equity is fairness. Equity is fairness. Let's move on. Fairness. Now you have Meriduo, you are now to justice, fairness. Fairness. Let's move on. Treating all learners fairly without discrimination. Fairness. So in other words, what we are trying to say is, it is fairness is being fair to all the learners, yes? But how do we actualize it? We actualize the equity in equality by making sure that we are providing them with equal opportunities. So equity and equality are two terms that you put together. Although we are saying they don't mean the same thing, but none can do without each other. Equity is being fair to all. We be fair to all learners. And the next question that comes into our mind is, how can we be fair to all learners? And now the answer, we find it in equality, by making sure that we are giving them equal opportunities. And we are going to look at in inclusive education. Then what is justice then? Equity, fairness, equality, giving the equal opportunities to all of them. So then what is justice? So what is justice? Equity is fairness, I have no problem, and you answered it in equality. So the first question is, if you want to be fair to all of them, then you are saying, can you give them equal opportunities? The same level. So the question I'm asking now is, then what is justice? Yes? Doing the right thing at all time. And I want you to look at it in terms of these learners we are talking about. Are we really being fair to them? There was a clip that was brought the day before yesterday of a school in Kilifi where some learners cannot be able to concentrate in class because of hunger. And I asked myself, do we have equity here? Are we treating these children the same? Are we giving them opportunities if they're in the classroom and they cannot be able to concentrate because we are not giving them the right to education? And that is where now the justice comes in, as someone has just told us. The justice is where they have a right. They have a right. It's now about law. So it kind of now cuts across the other two. That we are saying, let us be fair to these learners by making sure we are providing equal opportunities to all of them because it is their right. So justice is just doing the right thing, as someone has just said it. So the question is, as we move on, I want to ask you some of the mechanism or strategies that we must make sure we are putting in place to make sure that there is equity, there is equality, and there is justice in our schools. Those ones even who are from the arid areas, who are not able to access schools because they are very far from where they are. What are we doing about it? There are those ones from vulnerable homes. We keep on talking about them. Homes that are not stable. So what are we doing about it to make sure that there is equity, there is equality, and we also, they have a right to be in school? What mechanisms or strategies must we come up with to make sure they're in school? Those ones who have been forced to early marriages, is there any fairness in it? Are we providing equal opportunities when they are married at 10 years? Do they have the right to education? Are we doing it right? That is a question that everyone will ask. So what you're trying to say is that we must make sure that all the learners, remember what you're keeping on saying in CBC, that we don't have learners who are failures. But we cannot be able to talk about learners who are not failures and we are not able to provide for them. So we talk about it, we nurture every learner's talent, but the question is, what about those ones who are still at home, they cannot be able to access education? Or those ones who keep on going home for school fees because they are from poor backgrounds? Then are we fair to them? So that is a question. And that is now what you're saying and what this picture is illustrating about our education system, that we are not fair, we are not providing equality, and we are not also just in some of these areas in our country, because there are those learners who have a lot of issues, be it emotionally, be it from vulnerable homes, where maybe the parents have passed on and they are now depending on their old grannies who cannot be able to provide for them. And the question now why inclusive education comes in is to make sure that these learners are not left behind. That is why now I want you to look at bullet number 2. You have answered the first one. Identify situations when learners are treated unequally instead of equally. Can you identify for me some of the instances in your schools where your learners are not treated equally or they are not given the equal opportunities? Please put it in the chat. You're in a school setup where you are teaching. Are there situations where the learners are not treated equally? Let's go to the chat. Chat. Do you have instances in your schools where learners are not treated equally? Tuandike. Those ones who have not paid school fees are chased home. Thank you. That is one way. Another one. Thanks, Riziki. Let's move on. Oh dear. When they are not allowed to do exams because they have not paid school fees, giving extra tasks to others, meaning that we are also discriminating against those ones who are not intellectually endowed. So you don't recognize them in classes to them. And that is why we keep on blooding them as time takers. Different backgrounds, thank you. Wow. There are those ones who are deaf, and definitely we don't have interpreters. Asante sana. But please let's be careful with that one. Because also note that for you to be able to have a deaf child in your class, then you must make sure that there's someone who is signing. If not that, we have those special schools for those learners who are deaf. So please note there are some who can't just fit in your classroom if you don't have the facilities that they need or the gadget that they need. Wow. Allowing some to wear uniform and others are not allowed to. Favoring the best performance. Integrated lessons, revising to others and leaving out others. This is what we are talking about. They are not able the same academically. So we tend to discriminate and concentrate more on the ones who are intellectually endowed. Wow, chasing those who fail exams. Wow, wow. Answering questions in class and others are not chosen because they are time takers. Let's move on. No school uniform, the child is sent home. Wow. Let's move on. Wow, there are some who are not given food because they have not paid for it. A learner has not completed assignment and is sent home without finding a cause. Remember, some of them are from broken homes. Their mothers sell changa, and there's no time for this child to be able to sit in the house and do homework. So as someone has just suggested, please find out the root cause of a child not doing assignment. Maybe they never slept in the house. They slept in the garden. Wow, giving audience to those gifted, it is true. Making them repeat classes. Failing in exams. So we motivate more the regular students and leave out the SNE. But please also note, not all the SNE children can be able to fit in your classes. And as I've said, you must make sure you're providing with the facilities that they need for them to be able to enjoy the services like any other child. Balances, punishment due to absenteeism, and that is what you're saying. Let's find out the root cause of this absenteeism. Maybe it's because of their homes. Ignoring time takers, we have talked about it. Any other? School fees, we have talked about it. Special uniform for the leaders, wow, that sounds to something coming out. So according to Salome, we should all wear the same uniform even if we are prefects. Allowing them to wear socks when they have failed the exam, oh dear. Rewarding only bright children and ignoring the others. Wow. Chows, there is even special food for prefects. Then when will you feel we are part of the school? Motivating top performance, marking books only for the bright ones, so the others ignore. So someone is suggesting let teachers be observant, so that some of these root causes of maybe issues to do with absenteeism and not doing assignments, it comes from their homes. Special diet for players, wow. And so on and so forth. Thank you for your feedback. And then let us look at the last one. Then what is the impact of such unfair treatment of these students' learning? The time takers. And someone didn't even tell me about the way you even, the remarks you make in their report forms. Pull up your socks. Below average, poor. Don't you think it also brings their self-esteem down? So let's look at the third bullet. What is now the impact of this unfair treatment to these learners? May I have some answers? They withdraw and drop out of school. Truancy, thank you. Low esteem, poor performance. Truancy and withdraw, because there's nothing good for them in the school. We judge them. They feel inferior. Thank you. Depression. Ignorance, that is why even some of them are even committing suicide. Strikes, rude, frustration, strikes. They don't feel wanted. They boycott classes. They are the ones who are involved in fights. And are they involved in fights? Because they want attention, which you are not giving them. All what we do is bring their esteem down. Indiscipline, withdraw, lack of interest in anything. Kuchoma mashule Mary, Tagra, hopelessness, rough, because they want attention. They get involved in drugs and substance. They are lazy. What do you mean by that? They give up and partake in drugs. They are troublesome because they want your attention. They are rebellious because they want your attention. Poor performance because there's nothing good in them. They always give excuses even to be away from schools. They lose hope in life. That is where they end up committing suicide. They develop negative attitudes towards the school because the school that is supposed to be a heaven for them has turned against them. I can see something else from Kelwa, wetting their beds because their esteem is down. Less motivated to learn. They become bully. They recruit others in drug abuse, in discipline, and so on and so forth. Thank you for that. So what is then the importance of inclusive education where none of these children is left behind? So what is the importance of inclusive education? Can you also use the same chart and you tell me, then what is the importance? We have talked about being fair. We have talked about providing equal opportunities for them. And we have also talked about it's their right to be given these opportunities. So then what is the all together. Let's move on. Dropouts, this sense of belonging. Discipline in cases are minimal, big community. And then after this, you'll be able to tell me then the strategies that you must put in place to make those ones that are not coming to school are in school. So there's positive attitudes to others. Learners are recognized. Yes, definitely Winfred is summarizing it and telling us it provides better quality education because they have all been given opportunity to be in school. It will create love and acceptance. Asante sana for that input. And that is what we are saying, that an inclusive school is one that must make sure that all the learners participate in learning, even when they are varied, even those ones we refer to as time takers, even those ones who are from vulnerable homes, they have a right to education. And we can only be able to provide that if we give them inclusive education. And it's not just that. Look at the last point you are saying. Can you make sure that we are actively involving all the children, not the ones that we feel are academically endowed? The others don't have something to give. And you're also saying an inclusive school must make sure that it's developing friendships, relationships amongst the teachers and the learners, and among the learners themselves. So that is all what you're talking about, inclusive education. And that is why we are insisting and saying that when you are creating these relationships, definitely you're also providing a conducive environment for them. And they feel they are part of this school. It is their second home. That is all what you're trying to say. And it's all this we are saying, they are all varied, but each one of them at least has a talent or has a unique capabilities. And I'm hoping that is the reason why we are now bringing the CBC on board, that we must make sure we nurture each and every learner's talent. That even those ones who are not academically endowed, there is something else they can give. That is why some of them are very good in music. They are the ones that take your schools all the way to the East African competition. That is why some of them are very good in football, even if they are not good academically. So can we build on that or that capability that they have? That is why some of them can become even comedians. And they act well when they go for drama, and they even participate in the regional competitions. So what we are saying is, and in an inclusive education, there is no learner that is. All what we need to do is identify those capabilities of talents that they have so that they can be able to create an integral part of learning in a normal classroom. So then what does inclusive education ensure? That there is equitable access to learning for all the learners, even those ones who have needs. There is a room for them. But look at the next bullet. The placement of these learners must also be justified on the basis of individual learning needs. Because, ladies and gentlemen, there are some that will not fit in an inclusive class. Because there may be some facilities that they need that our classes do not have. Like now someone has just talked about having deaf children in a class, and there's no teacher who can be able to sign for them to be able to understand what is happening in those classes. Or putting a blind child in a classroom, and you know they require some of the facilities like the brailles. So what we are saying is that even if we want to have inclusive education, we must make sure that we are looking at the individual needs of these learners, because there are some that might not fit well if you don't have the facilities that they need. So it's important to also look at your school. If it has an inclusive, or you want to have inclusive education, you must make sure that all the learners who are going to attend or who will be in your school are well taken care of by making sure you are providing the facilities that they require. And that is why when you want to provide inclusive education, it is a collaborative effort, which includes the parents, the guardians, the teachers, the community, and the government. Because there are some facilities that you might not be able to have and the government can be able to provide. Guidance from the parents who live with these children back at home. The teachers who will be involved in teaching these children must also be included. Therefore, what are we saying? That we must make sure that an inclusive education is offered in an environment that is conducive for all the learners. None is left behind, including when they are varied backgrounds, whether poor or rich, or those ones, the one we refer to as the time takers, or those ones who are academically endowed. So we must take care of their different abilities at all times. And I want you to look at this picture that I've just brought here. And there are three areas. And you look at the first one, where we have some steps and the three learners. And then the question I'm asking, out of all that, which one is giving quality and features? Which one gives us the three combined together? And you explain to me why. So there's the first one. Is there equity here? Is there equality here? Is there justice? I also look at this. Is there equity? Is there equality? Is there justice? Then you look at this. Do you have equity, equality, or justice? So can you tell me where you feel or you think that the illustration has equity, equality, and justice? You look at what you have given me. Oh, the third one, all can access the match freely. The third. The second, the mid one. Rose, that where you can't see the pictures. I think there's a problem. The mid one. The second. Someone is telling me the third one. So in other words, what we are all looking at is the second and the third. Second and third. Second and third. Is it true? So is there equality, equity here, justice? So is this child able to see anything really? And you can see this one has also been provided with the same step, but is the tallest, so is able to see everything. This one is still struggling, and that is why I think there is no one who has given the first one, because this one, I don't think it's taking care of all the learners. Let's go to this other one. So the tallest is not provided with a step, and you can see this one is provided with one, and this one with two. So all these children, they are able to see what is happening in this field. So to me, there is equity, equality, and justice here. And also the same here, because you see all the barriers are removed. So even this small one can be able to see what is happening in the field. So it is true, the second and the third, we have equity, because we are saying let's be fair to all of them. So the question we are asking ourselves is how? By making sure you are providing them with the opportunities they require. That is why this smallest has been given 2 steps, so that can be able to see what is happening. Is given the same opportunities like these 2, and is able to see. Or we remove the barrier and make sure that all these learners can be able to see what is happening in the field. And that is what we are saying. Can we give all of them equal opportunities, regardless of their backgrounds, regardless of their intellectual capabilities? Let us treat them equally. Now that is why we must come up with strategies on how to do it, like the way these ones have done. You either remove the barriers so that you can be able now to have all of them enjoying the same opportunities, or you can see now they have been added some steps, and now they are able to see what is happening ahead of them. So ladies and gentlemen, is inclusive education a moral imperative? And you can see there are 2 documents there that have been quoted. 2009, and they are saying that in other words, it is needed. Inclusive education is needed in the society, where we must make sure that we are taking care, love all the learners irrespective of their abilities and needs. Then you also have the NATO of 2019 is also, we must make sure that all learners, regardless of their diversity, are included in their learning. Why? Because we want them to feel or develop a sense of we belong. And that is where that diagram is illustrating that even those ones who are able differently, like this second learner, is feeling at home. All these learners, they feel at home. So all what we need to do is make sure that we are giving them the facilities that they need to actualize their potentials. There's a question here, ladies and gentlemen, and I want us to look at these 4 illustrations. We have the first one, which we are calling the exclusion. And these are learners, ladies and gentlemen, we are saying they are not able to access school. We have the second category, segregation. It is where now you can see we have learners in one room and we have other learners in another room. So learners learn separately. These ones, they are learners who are learning. Wengine hawako kwa shule. All these have been excluded in learning. And look at also the C is the one we are referring to as integrated. And this one we are saying is they are in the same school, but they are not in the same classroom. And then you can see another one here where we have included all of them and they are learning in the same classroom. So I want to ask you question number 1. Which situation best reflects a school and why? Which situation best reflects a school and why? So there's the first one, number A, there's exclusion. We only have a few learners in school, wengine wako nje. They are not able to access school. Then we have a second one where we have segregation. They are in separate buildings. Then we have, and this one mostly is now for those ones, like now I'm trying to imagine the schools for the blind, the hearing impaired, where to take care of their needs. Then we have this one, they're in the same compound, but are in different rooms. Then you have this one that is inclusion, where we are putting them all together, regardless of their disabilities. So I'm asking the first question, which situation best reflects a school and why? Let me see what we have on the board. D, because they are all in the same class. D, there is inclusion. D, inclusivity. D, there is inclusivity because all learners, all what they need are learner-centered strategies to take care of their varied abilities. Let's move. Someone is telling me C, integrated, and I wish you can tell me why you have chose C, that is the best to reflect a school. Inclusion, B, in different places. D, all learners are together. Inclusivity, special attention given to those with special needs. All learners are given equal opportunities. Inclusive, inclusion, they are treated equally in D. Boy, Galaxy A or 2, my screen is blank. I think there's a problem. Can you see my screen, everyone? All are taken care of, D. Why A? I would like to know, hey, Francisco, why have you saying the best one is where we have learners who are at home and others in school? Yes, we can. D. And Elijah Karimi has already posted the registration form. Please fill the registration form for today's attendance. D, all needs are taken care of. And I want to explain something briefly before we move on with this. The reason why these days we are advocating for inclusive education is because we don't want some learners to feel like they are not okay. So you can imagine you have put some learners in the hearing impaired schools, we have put others in the schools for the blind, we have put others in the physically challenged. And that is why we want to move away from it. That we want them to be included in, we should have inclusive classrooms and we provide the facilities that all these learners need so that they can feel they are part and parcel or they feel they belong. That is what we are saying. And D, and to me, is the best because it is where the learners will feel they belong. That we are not being segregated because we cannot be able to hear. That we are not being segregated because we are deaf. We are not being segregated because we are blind. We are not being segregated because we are physically challenged. And that is why the UNESCO is coming up with this concept that why don't we have inclusive classrooms? All what we need to do is provide those learners with the facilities that they need. So it's when now you have a classroom that has even those deaf children, but all what you have are also teachers. The way we see or we watch the news, there's someone who is reading the news and using, for those ones who are normal like me, and there are those ones now who are being, or we have someone who is signing for those ones who are deaf. So can we also have learners who are blind in the same class with those ones who are not blind, but all what we provide are the brailles? And that is what we are saying. Someone is saying, I have a disturbing question. I don't know. Is it personal or mobile? If it's personal, then we'll give you a number. So if it's not personal, can you post it here? We'll be able to address it. So D cares for everyone, and that is what we are advocating for. Instead of now segregating these children because of their disabilities, that those ones who are deaf, let them put in separate schools. For those ones who are blind, let us put them in separate schools. So we are trying what we need are facilities to take care of them. Okay? Number B, then discuss some challenges facing the learners who are in the exclusion categories. Why are we having children who are not attending school? Can you tell me? Why do we have learners that are not able to access our schools? Why do we have learners who are not able to access, who are in the exclusion category? Please write some points. And I'll summarize it all. Yes, one is poverty. That is why some of them are not coming to school because of hunger. They face discrimination because now we have categorized them as those ones who are time takers. Someone is asking now, this one, I can see what you're asking. Can we have a different exam for those ones who are handicapped learners? And that is what we are saying. These children don't want to be treated differently, ladies and gentlemen. They don't want us to pity them, ladies and gentlemen. All what they want us is to provide them with the facilities that they need. That is why they don't want you to treat them like they are disabled. So you give them a different exam. And that is what you want to get away from. That is why you want to have an inclusive education where all of them are taken care of in the same room. I hope I've answered your question. That they don't want to be pitied, or what they want is for us to provide an environment where they can also be able to actualize their potentials. Hunger and lack of uniform, that is part of poverty. Tourism, wow, beach boys and girls, Asante. Unfriendly schools, like now, for example, there was a case where girls, when they are having their menstruation, they avoid schools because the toilets, poor sanitation, the toilets are not able to offer their privacy. Thank you. Separated families, I agree with you. Lack of basic needs, it's true. Child abuse, which also brings in the issue of the child labor. Yeah, some of them have to go to the farms and pick coffee, so they have no time to be in school. Pastoral communities, it is true. This one also brings the issues of cultures and traditions. Even some of them don't believe in educating girls. Low self-esteem, that's what we are saying, because we concentrate so much on some learners who are intellectually endowed and forget them. FGM, Asante Sana, that also brings some of their low esteem down. Nomadic communities that have to move from one area to another looking for pastures and water, so they have no time to be in schools. Asante. Single parenthood, where the parents do not care about their learners, whether they are in school or not. Terrorism, war-torn areas, that is fear of bandits. Thank you. Wilson, I wish you can explain further what you mean by poor governance. Is it poor government in terms of we don't provide a conducive environment in our schools? I wish you can explain further. In Phoenix, what do you mean by beliefs? Oh, it's beliefs in their traditions. Yes, conflict between parents, so there is push and pull. Negligence of these learners, they don't care. Like now what I'm saying, some come from vulnerable homes where the parents are busy selling changa or practicing prostitution. So they have no time for these children, even where they sleep or whether they go to school. Diseases, it is true, and some of them have affected or affected them. Asante. Use of drugs, thank you, Zipporah, for that. Cults, wow, that's something else that is coming in, lack of awareness. So we need to do a lot of sensitization to these parents to show them the need for education. All right, so thank you. Let us go to see what are the mitigating measures to make sure they are not excluded. Peer pressure, that's okay. Low esteem due to poor parenthood, I agree with you. That is where they don't see the need of coming to school. So then let's address the C. Let's address the C. What are the mitigating measures to make sure they are not excluded? Yes? What are the mitigating measures to make sure they are not excluded, that they are in school? Door-to-door awareness, let's sensitize also to the parents. But then this door-to-door, then you need to involve the security agencies, the chiefs, so that those learners who are back home can be able to come back to school, offering guidance and counseling. There are those ones from broken homes and they're emotionally disturbed. Thank you. Providing assistive devices, it is true, I agree with you, so that we can take care of the inclusivity. There's legal framework, like now we have the Children's Act that has already been reviewed. We have the latest of 2021. Ban on beach boys and girls, and you can only do it when you sensitize the need of education even to their parents. That all is not about getting a few dollars from the foreigners. Provide school meals, I agree with you. That is the feeding programs. In-service for teachers, so that you can be able to handle these learners from different backgrounds. Mobile schools in arid areas, I agree with you. So wherever they are, you're able to reach them. Providing psychological support for these learners, that is why we need to enhance our guidance and counseling departments. Motivational speakers, in order to be able to, those ones who have low esteem can be able to improve on it. Someone is telling me my screen is not clear. Is it true? Providing sanitary towels, motivation, mentoring, coaching, sorry. Doing away with the regressive culture, and you can only be able to work on this if you sensitize these communities on the need of education. Thank you. Someone has talked about motivational speakers. I can see resource persons. Government interventions, exactly, to curb insecurity threats. So all the multi agencies must work together to make sure that we are helping these communities that have issues to do with the schools are being closed down in these areas, providing guidance and counseling. And thank you so much. We must also be good role models to our learners so that they will see the need of staying in school, providing a curriculum that is inclusive. And ladies and gentlemen, that is true. And you see those answers. We are saying answer is inclusive education. And you have given me all those points because it is where, or an environment where the needs of these children are taken care of, regardless of their different backgrounds. All those points you find there. And then we have said some of the challenges you have just mentioned: cultures, traditions, poverty, early marriages, child labor. You can see terrorism, natural disasters, poor sanitation, and so on. And lastly, what have you looked at? What are some of the mitigating measures to make sure that these children are not excluded? We are saying, can we have mobile schools, especially in areas where we have the nomadic communities, feeding programs? And these ones will be able to keep these children in school, at least even if they have 1 meal a day, it will be able to keep them going. Let's strengthen our guidance and counseling to be able to help those learners from the emotionally or unstable homes. Let's have deepened information sharing and a multi-agency team to sensitize parents and learners on dangers of terrorism. And here they are, reflections on the day, ladies and gentlemen. We have looked at the learner-centered approaches. We have also looked at the ICT integration and inclusive education. Take time, Reflect on what you have learned and complete the following statements. So I want you to tell me, out of those 3 areas that you have looked at, what have you learned today? What do you need to learn more about? And what needs to be improved? So let's use the chat. We have looked at the 3 approaches. So can you now tell me what you have learned from today's session, what you need to learn more about, and what needs to be improved? So we start with the first one. What have you learned? Or you can put them in one. What have you learned today? In today's session, inclusivity in education, learner-centered approaches, Venn diagram. Let's move on. Inclusivity in education, Venn diagram, ICT integration, Mary. Understood inclusive education. Understood inclusive education include all. I've learned on learner-centered approaches. I need to learn more about ICT integration, PARC model, Bloom taxonomy in ICT, inclusivity, project-based learning, concept of inclusive education. Wow. Karemi.
Yes.
I've just remembered you told me there's a group that handled inclusive education.
Yes, and before that, they also do their reflection in our LMS.
Yes, we tell them that, it's okay. So I'm asking
but
about.
There is a group that they were supposed to present room number 4.
So what time is it?
It is 8:20, we have 10 minutes remaining.
10 minutes, so can I have the group that was handling inclusivity, they tell us what they have? Elizabeth, Jerry? Unmute. Yes? And if you have any question, you can also put it in the chat.
I'm not in any group, madam.
You wanted to ask a question?
I'm not in any group. How can I join one?
Oh,
this group was there before. She did not participate in breakout rooms, so that is what she means.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, time bad now. So let's hope tomorrow you'll be put in a room, yeah?
Fine, thank you.
Apology for that. So
No,
now,
Secretary room 4. Secretary room 4. You can raise up your hand.
and you can also ask any question in the chat. We'll be able to look at it. Penina, unmute. Canario.
I'm not also in the group.
Secretary room 4. I had the discussion. They had a very good discussion. I don't know. There is Infinix. Infinix, why are you the secretary?
Because we also want to give Elphase, who is our ICT officer, to tell you briefly about the Kemi Virtual Campus, because they're the ones who deal with the group. I know even the team from Nakuru region, they have interacted with him. They are just telling me, Christine too is not in any room.
No, there are people who never joined. After they got the prompt, they never joined the room.
The group. So we hope tomorrow all of us will be able to be allocated a room. We are looking for the group members of room 4.
I think it is Riziki. Riziki and mute.
So,
yes, Riziki.
Hello.
Yes.
I'm sorry I was out of net. So the question was strategies of inclusivity that can be put in place in a school. So one of them is the use of extracurricular activities to cater for everyone, for those who are sports or musical, arts-oriented, to encourage guiding and counseling in schools, to encourage free feeding, where we have a school might have a free feeding program, to incorporate students or learners in a problem solving and decision making, for example, in leadership and what, like even encouraging them in the PTA. Also encouraging the use of ICT in schools, so that those who are not able to get lessons, they can always refer to. Also, school fees kit in school, or school welfare for such students, those who are needy. Also incorporate students in organized activities such as cultural day, such like days. Also encourage students to participate in work, like growing legumes, keeping animals. So they are encouraged. They are also allowed to do it. Also, employing learner-centered activities, where the students are involved in field work, they are involved in group work and presentation, so that every student's need is also met. Also, field studies like trips that are school sponsored, where the children have a chance to go out. Those who are nature friendly, they can see and come back. So that is some of the strategies that, and also training of teachers take care of the learners with special needs. So in-service training can also be a way for a school to do inclusive learning. So the characteristics, that was the first question. So characteristics of inclusivity in schools. Just a repetition, we have a barrier-free environment, creativity where students participate in drama, such activities, drama festivals, talent shows and that. Also inclusivity of all learners, regardless of their abilities and their disabilities. So those who are special needs can be placed in the mainstream. They can be put together. Also project and inquiry-based learning can assist, and that can be employed in schools. And then learners' individual needs are met. For instance, and assistive devices are provided to students, like braille, hearing aids, and big phones for those who are impaired in one way or another. And of course, the proper use of ICT, where also teachers are trained on how to use them and they are applied during their lessons. So those are some of the answers we managed to come up with.
Thank you, Riziki. Thank you. And I think you have mentioned some of them, and also thank you for your input. And currently, I can see now most of them, they have an issue with journals and portfolios. So we need to really liaise with other trainers. You see what we can do about it. I think there's still a need in that area. Mary has also asked a question. How do you tell us that we have inclusive learning and some of our learners have severe disabilities? Please note, not all learners can fit in a normal curriculum. And that is where we have the special needs arm. Like now I'm trying to imagine those ones who are mentally handicapped. They cannot be able to fit in the normal curriculum, or the special needs, because all what these learners need is vocational training. And that is why that one is age-based, because they're usually taught on how the basic activities or how to take care of themselves so that they can be able to be independent. Please note that not all disabilities can be able to undergo, or learners to undergo, the normal curriculum or the regular curriculum. All what they need is to be trained on the basics so that they can be able to be dependent, they can be able to go to the toilet on their own, they can be able to dress themselves, and so on. Just that. So please note that not all of them can fit in our regular curriculum. So journals, now it's an issue, and portfolios, we need to do that. Then they're also saying attendance list has an issue. So I don't know whether when I call upon Elfis can also be able to address that. Karemi?
Yes.
They are complaining there's an issue with the registration form.
We do not backdate the registration because they are talking of Monday and Tuesday, Monday and yesterday, but we do not backdate the registration form, but we can fill today registration form. But the other evidence of attendance is the way they are participating in the chat. So they should not worry. As long as they have participated in the chat, that is evidence they are present.
Now we need the Kemi virtual campus because he's the person who is in charge of it. So that even as we interact with the content in the virtual campus, we can be able now to know how to navigate. So Elvis.
Thank you very much. Once again, good evening, members. My name is Elvis from the ICT department at KMI. So I'm going to take you through how to access the virtual campus for those who might be having challenges in how to access the virtual campus. So very quickly, for you to access the virtual campus, one needs to go to, you can either access decide to Google, just write KMI e-learning. You should be able to see the first search. We will take you straight to our virtual campus. I hope you can hear me, Madam Joyce. Mr. Karemi, can you hear me?
Yes, you're audible.
I'm audible. Thank you. Thank you.
You have lost your screen. I think we have lost Elvis. Madam Joyce. I think we have lost Elvis. He may be having the internet challenge.
Can still give him a chance tomorrow. Karemi?
Yes.
Karemi?
Yes.
We can still give him a chance tomorrow then?
Yes, we can, yeah, because we have
Time
lost.
is not on our side.
Yes. We'll request him to take them through tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow. You create time for him tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. Okay?
Yeah, they're agreeing with you.
Okay, Sawa. Thank you. Thank you for that information. Okay, so now we need someone to pray for us. Sorry, he's telling us he has issues with the internet, so we'll make sure you have him tomorrow. Stephen.
There are so many hearts that are up. You can unmute Bishop Rose.
Let Bishop Rose unmute.
Yes.
Hello.
I've unmuted.
Yes, Rose.
Hello.
Yes, can we pray? Father, in the mighty
Before
name
they
of
pray,
Before you pray, just a minute, Stephen, yes?
before the prayer, I would like to ask us the visual campus.
That is what we are saying. The person who wants to take us through has gone off. He's telling us he has issues with this internet. We'll make sure he'll be here tomorrow to answer all those questions on virtual campus. Is that okay, Stephen?
No, I see there's some activity needed to be answered and some meeting.
Sorry?
in my future campus.
That is what I'm saying. We
Yes.
have the ICT person who had just started telling us about the virtual campus, but has gone off because of the issues of internet. We'll give him a room tomorrow to explain to you. Is that okay?
Thanks. I'm answered.
Thank you, Stephen. So Bishop. Bishop Ross, unmute.
Okay. Let us pray. Almighty Father, we are before you this evening, so grateful because of your love, your care, your grace. Thank you for helping us go through the lessons. We are so grateful because you've given us sober minds to be able to do this. Well, thank you so much for the facilitators and all of us that have been in this lesson. How we pray that, Lord, you'll continue to help us go through it all successfully to the glory and even honor of your holy name. As we retire to bed, Father, I pray that you may give us restful nights until tomorrow when we have another session. Thank you so much, for we submit and surrender to you. In the mighty name of Jesus, we pray.
Thank you,
Amen.
Rose. Please, we have a session tomorrow. Even if it's Masuja Day, please let's meet at 5:30. Thank you. Asante sana. Be blessed. Enjoy your night.